Hello folks, Dance Man here, coming to you with a bit of a review for you. Now, I want to start this review off on a good note. Okay? I'm going to put a disclaimer in right now. I'm 36 years old. I grew up watching the original series of Star Trek with my father. And then I grew out of it, and then Star Trek The Next Generation came out. And I watched it as a kid. And I watched Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise. You know, in their entireties, by the way. No, I did not binge watch them on Netflix. I watched them when they were released on TV. So really, that's a good thing. But I watched the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. And I saw snippets of the new episode of Star Trek Discovery. And quite honestly, I have some words to say. Like I said, I'm a fan of all the TV series, the movie. I'm not a fan of the Abrams movies because that pretty much blew everything out of the water. I play Star Trek Online. If you guys see me, Dance Man MC on Star Trek Online. But with that said, I do not like Discovery. The main gear of Discovery is that they're focused on the first officer named Michael, who's female. A female named Michael. Who would have heard of such a thing? I mean, we've heard of Samantha, like if you would be with Sam Carter with Stargate SG-1, you know, so that's okay, I guess, but not really, because this character is basically torn. She was raised on Vulcan, but she's a human. And she was raised by Ambassador Sarek, making her his adopted daughter or stepdaughter or whatever. Now, we've seen junk like this before when we saw Star Trek V and Kirk ran into Sybok, which turned out to be Spock's half-brother, which really was kind of weird. It was a different mother, but... So, that pretty much means that Sarek was actually a Vulcan pimp, in my opinion. You know, he couldn't control his emotions, I guess. That's probably why I'm going to go with that. But Star Trek Discovery is complete and utter garbage. It reinvented the Klingons, which, if you watch the original series up to Deep Space Nine, you know, they did the whole cranial ridges and all that, but back before that, Archer had the problem with them with the eugenics stuff, which made them human. And then in the original series, they were basically people dressed up in like brown face paint. And then you didn't get the cranial ridges until you got Lieutenant Worf and all that in Next Generation. So pretty much that's how it's stupid. Now, when you go into the Kelvin timeline, it's like they're full ridges, they had piercings and all that, and that really made me mad too, with the Kelvin stuff. So really, this is just basically utter, like, trying to fill a void in the Kelvin timeline, if this is even a Kelvin timeline setup. The fact being that the show itself is based around the Discovery, which doesn't come until actually episode 1 of it. I mean, you have 2-parter episode, which is basically like a movie setup for Discovery. I mean, all the Star Trek series from Deep Space Nine up did like that, where it was like a movie style, you know, like a 2-hour movie or whatever to set it up for the series. So really, this is kind of garbage that they're doing it where they had the 2 episodes and then they have episode 1 of Discovery where they're actually on Discovery. I mean, the first 2 episodes are on the USS... the Shenzhou, which is run by a female captain who, spoiler alert folks, she died in the end by getting a Klingon knife stabbed into her. Big whoopee-doo, that happens. And then this Michael character is basically labeled as a mutineer and basically shunned by Starfleet. So she was put on board the Discovery, you know, because of who she is. Now, there's a lot of wrong with this show. I mean, I watched a guy's video. I'll actually put a link in the description below to this guy's video on what he thought it was. And honestly, I almost believe him. They basically were writing this show during the Trump administration building up. He'll explain it more in his video. But to be honest, I almost believe him in a sense that this show is definitely gotten to be horrible because it's trying to do things of current times, like the current bickering about, you know, anti-Trump supporters and, you know, white supremacists and all that, which I'm not going to get into because I stand away from politics. You know, the politics of the world are basically none of my freaking concern. Because every time that somebody talks about it, they get ousted by it. So my stance is I don't have a stance. I basically just do what I do. But the fact that the show is touching a lot of different things, it's a pain in the butt. The fact that the Klingons are trying to say they want to be isolationists, they don't like the fact that the Federation is treading on their territory. This Klingon wants to unite the 24 great houses. I mean, heck, I didn't even know there was 24 of them, okay? I mean, I know of Moog, freaking Duras, Martok, maybe, if that one's even a great house. I mean, to be honest, and the fact that the whole time that you're watching the Klingons, they speak in Klingon. I mean, Klingon is a robust language. It's nice, but it's being spoken so much that you have to read these subtitles at the bottom of the screen. It's ridiculous. I don't want to have to read a TV show, you know, just because it's, you know, it's that language. I don't like that. You're reading. I'd rather play Mass Effect 3 and read the subtitles whenever they're talking. You know, I'd rather do that in a narrative video game than I would in the freaking TV show. And the fact that they're also pushing this, I mean, this is really ticked me off. They say that there is an openly gay character. Now, my stance with gays is I don't care. You guys are awesome people. It's the person you're looking at, not what they're doing in the bedroom. But oh my God, these people. I mean, you gotta please everybody. But to be honest, to have an openly gay character, I mean, when they did that with Star Trek Beyond, when they made Sulu fully gay, but yet the actor who played Sulu was not exactly thrilled that Sulu was gay. I mean, I understand George Takei is labeled that, you know, for himself. But the thing is that to push this, I mean, there's other shows that have done this. I mean, if you look at a show like on Freeform, it's called The Fosters. I've been pissed with that show for months, especially in the sense I'm forced to watch it. And two, it's mainly about two females who are mothers who have adopted kids, and I'm not getting into it because I tolerate it. I mean, there's only so much that you can tolerate before it becomes, okay, is this the status quo that we have to have an openly gay character? And most of the characters on Horizon, on Discovery, is basically genders, different colors. Star Trek back in the 70s had one black character, and that was Uhura, and she did a fantastic job, and she was surrounded by white people. But she did an awesome job for the time. Now it's like, okay, well, we can't have all white people anymore. We have to have a diverse culture. I mean, we have Latinos, we have Spaniards, we have Mexicans, we have Canadians, we have Scots, and we have... You get my point. It seems like the people at Star Trek don't know what they're doing. I mean, you can't just throw everything into a jumbled mess and hope it's going to work. The fact that this show is on a streaming service called CBS All Access, and you have to pay to watch this show, is kind of a joke. I could see it being on Netflix or Hulu. You know, that way people can see it without having that much of a concern. But yet they have it on a different service that you get charged. I mean, they only give you like a week free if you want to start, and you might as well like wait until all Discovery is uploaded before you waste your time and binge watch it, if you even want to. I mean, Star Trek Discovery is kind of a joke. It's got that J.J. Abrams flair to it. You got the lens flares like crazy. You got the touch screens, which were not a part of the original TOS era. The TOS era basically had the buttons, the jelly bean buttons as they called them, and all this other stuff that was cool, but now you're making it that they have to have touch screens, which makes me believe that this show is set in the Kelvin universe, but it's not as far as we are concerned. It's set 30 years before Kirk. But which Kirk? Is it the one that we get with the Abrams era, or is it the one that we get with the Roddenberry era? I mean, that's the real question. I'm sure that the writers, they said that it's going to meld together to where it's actually, okay, it's the Kirk era, where we're going to get the buttons and the new, the old shirts back, the tunics and all that. But I feel that the show is just stupid. I mean, there's so much BS in it. I mean, there was a scene where Michael walked into, I guess, an engineering lab, and the openly gay character's like, the engineer, he's like, well, we don't have assigned seats. What are you doing here? You don't know anything. I'm superior to you because I'm human. You may have been raised by Vulcans, but you are still human. So do what you need to do. It's like you're here for a reason. Discovery is basically, I mean, like I said, the other guy I watched last night about his rant on Discovery, he actually made a good point. This series is about starting the Klingon War with the Klingons. Now, since Paramount put all these restrictions on fan films, this made it that Axanar couldn't be made. This is why Axanar wasn't made, because of the fact that that they were making Discovery to show that, hey, this is what we want as canon, not as what the people at Axanar were doing. Which, honestly, I would rather watch Axanar than freaking this. Because Axanar was from the fans and about the fans. Just like how Renegades was about, you know, for the fan service. I mean, Axanar had a lot of people in it that were gonna be in the show. I mean, you had Richard Hatch, the late Richard Hatch, who was gonna be the Klingon commander. He would have been awesome. You have Tony Todd in there. I mean, it's like, and the guy who played Saval. You know, you had all kind of A-listing freaking Star Trek people signed on to Axanar, and then all of a sudden Paramount's like, yeah, screw you. We're going to do one better. We're going to make it our budget and use the Abrams style. I mean, the only good thing about it is the CGI graphics of the different, like, space areas. You know, the areas. The ships themselves, I've never seen any of those classes before in the Star Trek universe. None of them even come close to what was in the original Star Trek tech manual, you know, for the time. I mean, granted, it's 30 years before Kirk, but hell, I mean, even Archer's ship, the NX-01, looked better than what the Discovery looks like, or the Shenzhou. But to be literally honest, folks, if I were to rate this show, I would rate it a 0 out of 5. Do not even watch it. It's just Paramount's way of fucking with us. Because really, the show itself is not that great. The acting seems like it's rushed, like they just want to get through the scene and get done, kind of thing. The emotions behind everything are just not there. I don't think they hired genuine Star Trek like fans to actually, you know, Star Trek actors or actresses to actually be like, hey, this is Star Trek. This isn't just something we're doing. This is Star Trek. So that's just my opinion, folks. I will link in the description the guy's video that I talked about, and I hope to see you guys next time. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you another time, folks. Peace.